What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream, and happy Monday, people. Big up to everyone who tuned in earlier for the Champions League watch along that we did. The Champions League draw was this morning and it was favourable for Arsenal. We'll talk about that shortly. For those of you, if it's the first time tuning in today, big up to you. It was a good weekend for Arsenal Football Club, top of the Premier League. 3-point collecting, Kai Havertz with another goal, and things going well for Arsenal at the moment. But remember, we was in this situation this time last year, and I felt that January transfer window, we didn't build upon it, and I think that was really costly. So Arsenal need to learn from their mistakes of last season. This January transfer window needs to be attacked. We need to bring real quality in, and it's a different title race from last year. Obviously, it was just us and Manchester City. It's Liverpool, it's City, it's Arsenal. You can even say it's Aston Villa. I know we're quite dismissive of Villa, and everybody's sort of saying, well, they'll fall out of it eventually, but until they fall out of it, they're still in the title race. So at the moment, it's a four-horse race for this league. But big up to everyone on this Monday. Hope you're well. Like the video, subscribe, share the content, all of that good stuff. And let's get into it. Yeah, Havertz green screen. I was going to do the green screen, but by the time I got the stream sorted, I just forgot to do it. So if he scores again, we'll do it. But he's playing well, and it's a good sight seeing Kai Havertz hit the back of the net. So we'll have to see with that one. Anyway, big up Terry. Real Gooner said, afternoon, got you on in the background as I'm playing tournaments on Poker Stars. Good luck, bro. Good luck. Big up. And apparently, according to Cole, Arsenal cannot loan Toney. They've already loaned one player from the club. Restriction, just one player loaned from a club. We either have to buy Toney, or buy Raya, or loan Toney. I will get into the story. The story was sort of saying that we would find the money to buy David Raya and then potentially bring Ivan Toney in on loan. Big up Latte. Kai has found his confidence. Listen, for me, I've said before and I've said again, I don't expect Kai Havertz to boss games. He's not that kind of player. He's not Cesc Fabregas. He's not going to say, give me the ball, keep getting on the ball and bossing it. He's not that kind of player. What he is, he makes very intelligent runs into the penalty area. He gets in very good space. He's a midfielder that a striker will appreciate because he will make those runs into the area and create space for the striker. And what I've kept saying is he has to contribute. He has to contribute. I'm still not sitting here wowed by what I'm watching. I'm not sitting there going, oh my God, he's the Fabregas, he's Alexis, he's unbelievable, he's world class. I don't think he is that player. What he needs to do is score. Take the weight of responsibility off people's shoulders. I'm looking at that now. That's 4 league goals. I'm looking at Kai Havertz to score 10 Premier League goals this season. If he scores 10 Premier League goals playing in midfield, he's had a good season. You know, he's had a good season. So it's something that if he can get 10 league goals, maybe get 4 or 5 assists, get a handful in the Champions League, you're looking at it as a successful signing. On the eye test, he's not going to wow you. You're not rushing to the armoury to put his name on the back of your shirt. But he's been brought in to contribute to the goals. And that's what we don't have enough of in that attacking midfield area. Only Odegaard last season. Smith Rowe was injured. Fabio Vieira hasn't been able to do that. So I like what I'm seeing from Havertz. He's improving. He has to keep doing it. Anyway, lots to talk about today. Yeah, trust me, Don. I said 5 and 5, but that's because he was stinking out the place. Now I need 10 goals from him. He's on 4 already, 5 in all competition. So I need double figures from Havertz. I think he can get that. Zach said if he gets 10 plus Premier League goals, you got to get his name on a shirt. I think he can quite easily get 10 Premier League goals. Anyway, let's look ahead. Lots to talk about today. Champions League draw. We're being linked with strikers again. And we've got lots to talk about. We'll do press conference reaction. And we'll also do player ratings. Jonah's saying you can't change your tune. Listen, unfortunately, football, we are a reflection of what we see. I say this all the time. People go, yeah, but you didn't back him when he first came in. You know why? Because he was playing terrible. I'm not just going to sit here blinded by the lights and say, oh, I always believed he was going to be a success. What I was watching was stinking out the joint, people. Simple as that. What I'm watching now, it's more positive. When he was playing bad, I'm going to tell you the guy was playing bad. Now he's playing better. He's playing bad, and that's the reality of the situation. It's stupid as a fan to just commit one way of a player and say, I always backed him. No, you saw him stinking out the Emirates. And that's the reality of the situation. He's playing well now. Nobody expects instant success, bro. Nobody expects instant success. I don't expect 1 goal in 20 games and a bunch of 3 or 4 out of 10 performances. He cost 65 million. He's a Champions League winner. I expected at least average, and he was playing below average. But listen, he's got his confidence. He knows what we want from him now. And I've always rated him. It's shameless. It's Monday. We're top of the Premier League. But listen, let's talk. Champions League. The draw was this morning. A lot of you in the comments were in the chat, so big up to you for that. Arsenal are drawn against FC Porto. FC Porto against Arsenal. What I've been saying and what I will keep saying is this is a favourable draw, but also approach with caution, right? We all know that Napoli, PSG, Inter Milan were more difficult games than this. We all know that. But we also have to be aware that Porto are a team with Champions League pedigree. They've won the Champions League. They make the latter stages of this competition on a regular basis. If we go to that away leg and don't perform, they will deal with us. However, they're third in the Portuguese league. As you can see from the picture on screen, Pepe. Yes, Pepe. Not the Arsenal Pepe, the original Pepe from Real Madrid. 40 years of age, people. Yeah, I said it. 40 years of age. When you think that Saka is 22... and this guy's 40. If we can't damage him on the counter-attack... Listen, we know he knows the game. He is a dark art specialist. If you go anywhere near him, he dives on the floor. When he's tackling you, he will stamp on your feet, kick you. He is dirty. But listen, it's a favourable draw. And if Arsenal have any expectation of going far in the Champions League, if you can't beat Porto over 2 legs, second legs at the Emirates, then you're not good enough, really, are you? So he is. He's old enough to be Saka's dad. He's, 18 years older than him. If he'd have had him at 18, he'd be his dad. And he's an experienced player, a veteran of the game, to be honest. So I'm happy with the draw. I was delighted with the draw. I know we lost to Sporting Lisbon. I did a little scouting report when we got the draw. They're third in the league. They actually play Sporting Lisbon tonight. So if you want to get a scouting report done there, it will be an opportunity for you to watch that. They've got a few decent players who can cause problems. Grujic is there. He used to play for Liverpool. They've got Evan Nielsen up front, who's a live wire. And is it Mehdi Taremi, the guy from Iran who scores a lot of goals for them? I think he got 22 league goals last year. They play 4-4-2, which is crazy. You know, nobody else really... You go around most of the big teams in Europe, nobody plays 4-4-2. 4-4-2 is like a dirty phrase in football now. Oh, we can't play 2 up front because the midfield will get overrun. Listen, they do it. They play 2 up front. It will be interesting. You would expect us to dominate the midfield battle, but they got 2 strikers. Galeno, a lot of you have said he's lively as well. I think he plays left wing. Good draw, but listen, Arsenal are going to have to perform. I would imagine this will be a more difficult game than any of the games that we've had in the Champions League group. So, yeah, I've seen a lot of people online celebrating the draw, and I'm with you in that. I'm happy, but also approach with caution. 4-4-2, lot of experience. You've got to handle business. You go there, you get a draw or a narrow win. You bring them back to the Emirates, and then hopefully you finish off the job. But let's see. Good draw for Arsenal. Manchester City got Copenhagen. No surprise there. Probably brown envelopes flying all over the place. But a couple of other interesting ties, obviously. Inter Milan against Atletico Madrid. That's a big team being knocked out. And Napoli against Barcelona is a good draw as well. So a couple of the big boys will be out of the competition. Big up Matt, make sure you go and follow the Southern Gooner. He said, that Porto tie is tricky. We need to drop the hammer in the away leg. Remember, Sporting Lisbon was in the bin and we made a mess of it. Can't be like, you're right. You're right. We all thought we'd beat them. I know we made changes for that game, but these teams have got pedigree and quality. You can't write them off. That's for sure. Big up Marco. He said, no King Kai on the green screen. Disgracia. Big up yourself, Marco. And I'm going to look into the mods today. I know a few of you are saying potentially being mods. So I'll look at the mods who aren't actually as active at the moment. So good draw for Arsenal, Porto. But again, as I said, approach with caution. You can't write teams off like that. That is for sure. Let's look back on yesterday's game, people. A 2-0 victory at home against Brighton. It's funny because I sat there at half time and I said, I've seen this performance over and over again. Over and over again. Who used to sing that song? It's all in my head. I think about you over and over again. Nelly, back in the day, them R&B. They don't make R&B like they used to, man. I'm telling you, R&B back in the day, them brothers was really R&B-ing. You know what I'm saying? They was outside in the rain. You know what I mean? Like looking like they were gonna cry. I don't know what the modern R&B is. I know I'm going way off topic here, but I might just be getting old. Maybe the new R&B is good. But yeah, them old school R&B tunes, man, they was really, you know, doing the love songs. But yeah, you remember when you used to like record music and put it on your voicemail, so when somebody rang you, like they heard the record. Times have changed, right? I'm really drifting off topic here as well. Remember when you had to make the ringtone yourself and create it? But yeah, it's all what I'm showing my age here, people. I'm old school. I'm LimeWire, MSN Messenger, Tamagotchis, Pogs, and football stickers. But yeah, R&B back in the day. Are they making R&B like that anymore? I don't know. These man was standing out in the rain, you know, Usher and yeah. But anyway, let me get back to it. Let's talk about yesterday's game. You know, information and entertainment here. I can go at any given moment, people. But anyway, Kai Havertz. Waka waka wa, eh, what? 60 million down the drain. Kai Havertz scores again. Is it... Listen, I'm shameless on this channel. You know me, people. I almost feel a bit guilty saying this, but it's probably the first time I've said this publicly, but I'm starting to like Kai Havertz at Arsenal. I am. I'm going to be real. 4 weeks ago, I looked at this guy like he was a criminal that had broken into our house. It was criminal that we'd paid money for this guy. We shouldn't have even paid cash for him. You know, it should have been IOUs, Klarna business. Send it back next day delivery. I'm actually starting to like the guy now as a player. I'm like, you know what? It's another goal. Like, it's shameless. I should time out. I should just go and sit on the naughty step for 3 minutes. I want him to do well. I've always said it. I want this guy to do well. And when he scores with a calmness that I'm like... One thing I've always said, and I'm not backing down from this because I always said this, and it is Monday and we're top of the league and, you know, life is good right now. It's the festive season. So maybe I'm... You know, maybe I'm on cloud 9 celebrating, but I've always said he's got the talent. I've never doubted the talent. It was always, why can this guy not perform for Arsenal? It is shameless. And some of you are checking, like, am I on the right channel? Other channels are available. Did he just say he likes Havertz? I'm starting to like the way the guy's playing because I feel like he's going to contribute. I looked at that finish yesterday. He got one-on-one. And that, for me, was a different goal to any goal that he scored for Arsenal this season. You look at his other goals, they were all kind of like, in the box, just hit it, it goes in. This one was one-on-one. You've got time to think about what you're doing. What have you got? And he slots it in and runs off and knee slides. And I just looked at him and I thought, do you know what, man? You did need some love. You needed a hug, people. He was at Chelsea, no love. He was getting no love at Chelsea, man. And I feel like now he got that love at Arsenal. We're looking after him, man, you know. We're like the foster parents, you know. We've took him in. We're not his natural birth parents, but we've took him in. We're feeding him the right dinners. You know, he's going to bed at the right time. I feel like he really wants to prove to people that he can make it in the Premier League because... when I think about it, it would have been very easy for him to just say, you know what, the Prem ain't worked for me. I'm going back to Germany. or I'm going to Spain in the nice weather. The fact that he said, you know what, I'm going to another English club, I'm backing him. He did nearly mess up the knee slide. It looked like he nearly did his medial ligaments. But hey, we'll forget about that. He scored and we'll keep it moving. So listen, big up Havertz. But hey, it is what it is. And I'm delighted for him. I want him to do well. I want him to keep scoring. We won the game 2-0. First half, I'm sitting there at halftime. I'm like, another dominant first half with no goal. You know, and I agree with that. Let's wait and see him at Anfield because, you know, I want to see him do it in the big games. But hey, we'll get to that next week. But second half, I thought we were better. Gabriel Jesus got the goal. Header at the back post. Great position for a striker to be. Any coach will tell you. From crosses, peel round that back post. You'll be surprised how many times the ball gets flicked on at the near post and ends up at the back stick. Header, open net. Jesus needed the goal for me for his confidence. Havertz secures the win in the 87th minute. Could have been different. Pascal Gross had a good chance at the near post. We'd be having a very different conversation. One thing that really surprised me, doesn't really mean much, but 52% possession for Brighton. Really didn't expect to see that. But they did grow into the game in the second half and started to keep the ball. I have to say, and I said this during the game yesterday, I don't know how Lewis Dunk is not playing for one of the big six clubs in this country. I think he's one of the most underrated centre-backs in English football, especially English centre-back. I know I think he's 30 years of age now, so maybe that's putting off a lot of clubs from investing in him, and I get that they want long-term signings. I think Lewis Dunk is an absolute quality centre-back. Real quality. What I've noticed, he's improved a lot on the ball as well, playing under De Zerbi. But yeah, the age is probably the reason. I think if he was in his mid-20s, he'd definitely have got a move. In fact, he's 32. There you go. He ain't going nowhere. He's retiring at Brighton. But yesterday, the guy's carrying the ball out from the back and everything. He's quality. But yeah, 32. No one's going to get him. Let's get into player ratings. 26 shots on goal for Arsenal. That is crazy. How did we not score more than 2? Before I get into it, let me go through these super chats. I don't want them to mount up too much. E. Ross said, Curtis, stop capping. Stop the cap. I like Havertz, people. What? It's Monday. We're top of the league. I'm seeing the Leverkusen Havertz. I am. Nah, forget Leverkusen. We're seeing the Arsenal Havertz. This is the evolution of him. But it is right. We're at Anfield next week. He needs to perform. Alfred said, Saka dad, beside Partey, Trossard, Raya and Jorginho. Pepe is old enough to be the rest of the team's dad. To be fair, well, I don't know about Thomas Partey. I think Partey and Pepe are a similar age, but we'll leave that for a different conversation. Sean O'Neill, big up Big C. January is now crucial. Get your striker, your box-to-box and a centre-back. With Timber Partey and Tommy, who knows what we can achieve. Buying those 3 players with potential FFP in the Kroenkes is very unlikely. It's sad because I sit there as an Arsenal fan and I think, imagine if we went, okay, we're going to get a box-to-box DM, let's say Fofana from Monaco. We're going to go and get Ivan Toney or Osimhen or whoever, whatever striker you think. And we go and get a centre-back as cover, whoever, a decent centre-back from Europe. If you made them 3 signings at Arsenal, I would probably sit here and say, I think we can genuinely win the title. I would say we have got a great chance of winning it. But Arsenal always have this habit of leaving you without something. It's like buying cereal and not buying the milk. You're like, yeah, I love that cereal, but where's the damn milk? You know, and it's always like that with Arsenal. Something's always missing. I just hope they address what we need in the window. And O'Malley says, I've never seen a team do what we did to Brighton since De Zerbi became their manager. It was dominance, if we are being honest. De Zerbi said they suffered, which I think was a massive compliment to Arsenal. You do have to remember they lost 6-1 at Villa Park. You know, that is absolute, total, pure dominance. 6-1, they smashed them all over the place. But yeah, listen, I thought second half especially, we turned the screw on them. Let's go through the player ratings, people. United goes, name the player, give me your scores, I'll give you my score, and we keep it moving. David Raya in goal. I keep saying with David Raya, the less we talk about him, the better he's doing. He needs to go under the radar and just stay quiet. And the more he does that, that means he's doing well. Now, he only had one shot on target yesterday. So he didn't have a lot to do. But it's a clean sheet. Do you know what? He came out for... There was one kick that he did was really good. I'm going to give him a 7. He didn't have a lot to do, but sometimes in a game, the concentration level, he does make me a bit nervous. But, it's going to take in Raya's defence. He had no pre-season at Arsenal. He did have that spill, didn't he? Yeah, I just remembered that. I'm just going to leave him on a 7. I think as a goalkeeper, it takes time. He had no pre-season. He came in right at the end. And it's difficult. Do you know what? The fumble makes me think it could... I'm going to give him a 6.5. I totally forgot about the fumble. I'm giving him a 6.5. That made me nervous. He makes me edgy, but I'm not going to talk about him for long. I can't ignore the spill. Do you know what I mean? You made a good meal, but you spilt it in the kitchen. It's a 6.5, right? It's 6.5. I got to bring that down a little bit. But listen, decent. Let's go to the back four. Let's start with Ben White. I thought he was okay. I think with Ben White, it's like Tomiyasu came in and pushed the level up. And since Ben White's come back in, I kind of feel like the level's not as high. He doesn't get around Saka as much. He was okay. He got done by Mitoma on that one where he breezed past him for pace and whipped it in, and Gross should have scored. I'll give Ben White a 6. I thought he was average. He got booked. Did well not to get a second yellow. He's okay. He's not in the best run of form at the moment. When he got the booking, I was nervous. But Ben White last season, this is the best way I can explain Ben White. This is the best way I can explain what I'm seeing from him at the moment. Ben White last season looked like one of the best right-backs in the Premier League. Genuinely. Trent was off form. Reece James was injured. Kyle Walker at times wasn't playing. Obviously, Walker's probably number one. Trippier and Ben White were the best two. This season, Ben White, to me, looks like a centre-back playing at right-back. And I know last season he was a centre-back playing at right-back, but last season he looked like a genuine right-back. This season, he looks like a centre-back playing at right-back that's kind of not getting forward as much, adjusting to it. People saying after the game there was rumours of an injury. That would make sense. It would make sense because he just doesn't look as mobile to me. But I'll give him a 6. Clean sheet. Nothing to worry about. Let's keep it moving. And we need to keep him fit because if he gets injured, who the hell's playing at right back? We're going to Cedric. And that don't fill me with confidence. Let's go to left back. Zinchenko. Zinchenko just confuses me all the time. Every time I do player ratings, I'm like... I think he got done once in the first half. He was okay. He was okay, Zinchenko. He was all right. Like, I felt we started to dominate the game once he stepped into midfield. So I do like the role that Zinny plays in the team. It's just sometimes he's a bit wasteful in possession. I'm going to give him 6.5. Because I keep saying it. You can't blame him for the instructions that he's being given. He's being told to move out of position and go into the middle. I thought he was quite good in possession yesterday, Zinny. Couple times a bit sloppy on the ball, but he's going to be. He's a risk-reward player. What would you rather in the team? An El Neni Jorginho that's going to go sideways, backwards and never progress? Or would you rather Zinchenko that's going to try and split your defence open? I would rather Zinchenko. 6.5 for him for me. Obviously, Anfield this week, slight concerns about him. This was the ground last season. He got nutmegged by Trent. He ended up crying on the bench up against Mo Salah. He is going to have to perform this week, that is for sure. Need to see better. But he did okay, 6.5. Let's go to his two centre-backs. Two centre-backs for me I thought did well. Evan Ferguson, who a lot of people have been hyping, he did absolutely nothing in the game. I've said before, I like Evan Ferguson, but he would not be on my hit list for Arsenal yet. I don't think he's ready for that move yet. I thought Gabriel and Saliba dealt with him. I'll probably give them both. I'll give them both 8 out of 10 because Brighton are one of the top goal scorers in the Premier League. And I know we did them quite easily yesterday, but you've got to give these guys credit. No booking. Best defense in the league. I just think they're both brilliant. I love both of them. They're both very different and just both brilliant. What a partnership. It's great to have a great centre-back. You've seen with Liverpool, Van Dijk, they're consistently changing who plays next to him. With us, it's just set. Saliba, Gabriel, they're just brilliant. They made Evan Ferguson look like nothing. And people have been saying 80, 90 million, go and get him. BX said, truthfully, Curtis, the system works because if we put away our chances, the game would have been dead. We wouldn't have been talking about nothing. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And that's the thing. We're not putting games out of sight quick enough, which is why we're probably focusing on other things. Brandon said, the Brighton winger, man marked Zinni all game. He did. He was very close to him. Let's go into midfield. I've had times where I go into midfield and I'm like, oh, no. Like, I'm dreading it. I'm looking at the three midfielders, and sometimes I'm like, who do I even start with? Today, I'm saying, who do I start with for a more positive reason? I'm going to start with, for me, the signing of the season. For me, the signing of the season. I haven't seen a signing in the Premier League this season that's had a bigger impact on his team. Man of the match for me yesterday. Man of the match. He's so good at the moment that when he plays good, we don't even really talk about it because we just expect it. It's just like, oh, he does that every game. We'll just gloss over it. He is absolutely outstanding this season. Honestly, I've said it before and I've said it again. He's a better player than I thought he was. He's better. At West Ham, I thought he was just a workhorse, runs around and tackles. He's outstanding. His reading of the game, his driving runs. I think we got to understand Brighton are one of the best teams in the Premier League outside of what we would say the typical Big Six. They are a quality team. They had more possession than Arsenal yesterday, which is something not many teams do. Declan Rice, 9 out of 10. Absolute brick wall, Rolls Royce. I honestly, the level that he could go to if Partey ever comes back, I don't know. If he starts adding goals to his game, he could become one of the best box-to-box midfielders on the planet. Honestly, I'm not capping. He's that good. Signing of the season, 9 out of 10. Man of the match, absolutely outstanding. I think he can add goals to his game as well. I think he can really add goals to his game. He's starting to shoot a lot more. Hasn't really scored them long-range shots yet. I think those goals will add to his game as well. He's a leader. He's, and I'm not disrespecting Odegaard when I say he is another captain in this team. 9 out of 10, Declan Rice, outstanding. DV said, I rated him, but I never knew he was this good. Yeah, that's where I'm at. He's outstanding. He's 7 out of 10 before the game. So, yeah, he arrives in the car park. He's already 7 out of 10. He's absolutely brilliant. He really is. He's outstanding. Anyway, let's go to Kai Havertz. Listen, I said something today I never thought I'd say on a stream. I'm almost ashamed of myself for saying it, but at the same time, why should I be ashamed? I'm shameless. I'm an Arsenal fan. Havertz is playing well. Why shouldn't I enjoy it? Yeah, I was criticising him first 20 games. He was terrible. Now he's playing well. Let's enjoy it. I said earlier in this stream, I'm starting to like Kai Havertz. What a player. What a player. We're shameless with it, man. Embrace it, people. Why not? You're right, Ziggy. Yo, I'm telling you, when Havertz scores, it feels different. It's like the ball hits the net in a different way to anything else. I don't know what's going on. We need some more red stripe. The goals hit different. There's a coolness and a calmness about the way he just slots it in the back of the net. It's like, yo, ball up. I know what you're all thinking. This guy's a disgrace. Disgrace here. You see the way the guy finished? Killer Kai, people. Dipset. Killer. Harlem. 1-on-1. That was the best goal he scored for Arsenal. Not the most important. You know, the winner at Brentford was the most important. That was the best goal he scored in an Arsenal shirt. All the rest of them were instinctive. Header at the back post volley, just get it in. That was the best goal that he scored for Arsenal because he had time. Ask any striker, the hardest goal to score is the one where you got time to think. The instinctive one where you just hit it, that's different. Cool, calm, touched it out his feet, had another touch, set himself, just slotted it in. Great finish. I said, yo, the knee slide didn't quite work, but we'll work on that. Maybe we'll water the pitch a bit more, you know? Great finish. 8 out of 10. You know I love so much about the goal? 87th minute, attacking midfielder, still making them runs. Can't underestimate that fitness level. It's difficult. I've played attacking midfield before. Sometimes you get to that last 10 minutes, man, I'm a bit tired. I'm not going to make that run beyond the striker. He ran past Eddie and Nketiah to get the ball from him. 8 out of 10. Brilliant goal. Really enjoying his performances the last few games. We need more of it. We've got another massive test this week at Anfield. They're the games. 65 million. We want to see that in them games. But continue building, continue scoring. As I said, I think he can get 10 Premier League goals. He's got 4 now in the Prem. He's got 5 in all competition. Stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Some Kool-Aid. But listen, we all have to embrace it and enjoy it, man. Good goal. Martin Odegaard. I watched back some of the game this morning. Not all of it. Because obviously yesterday it was VPN settings. Then watch-alongs are always a bit more difficult. Odegaard did things in that game yesterday. It's like some of the things he was doing, I'm saying, you can be absolute world class. The ball that he played to Saka in the first half, I'm not sure if there's more than 5 players in the Premier League that can play that ball. It's outrageously good. Like, it's not just a good ball. It's outrageous. It's one of them passes where you're like, oh my God. Outside of the foot, round the defender with backspin into Saka. I'm like, that ball's unbelievable. But then he gets the ball on the edge of the penalty area and I'm like, shoot, touch, 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 shot. And you're like, just pull the trigger, shoot. If he'd have scored yesterday, I might have given him man of the match, but he didn't score, which is why I don't quite give him man of the match. But he was instrumental in everything we did. I'll give him an 8.5. I agree with you, Snaz. I'll give him an 8.5. I think the difference between Odegaard this year and last year is the goals. Last year, he was just getting the ball, touch out of his feet, hit it. That's why he scored 15 goals last season. This season, if you look at him, it's like he's thinking, he's having a touch. It needs to be set perfect. It's got to be just far enough outside of his body so he can swing the left foot. Just touch and hit. Touch it and hit it. That left foot's good enough. Back yourself. The difference, what I think, and Southern Gooner's right. I think last season, he started the season really well. And it sort of continued throughout the season. When you're playing well, you don't think about things as much because it's just happening naturally. So he controls it and just hits it. Bottom corner, controls it, scores. This season, because he's been in different form, he's had an injury, he's had a bit of criticism, I think he's thinking, I've got to score. I need this perfect. I can't miss. He needs to relax and just say, you know what, just trust your ability. You've got the quality. He's got a sweet left foot. I agree with you a little bit there as well, Gid. I think last year, because he had Xhaka and Partey was like a protective wall, he didn't have to defend as much. I think this year, because we're playing with one DM in Partey, he has a bit more defensive responsibility. So, you may not see Odegaard score 15 goals this year. And that's a great point. But I thought yesterday there were moments in his game he was outstanding. And one thing I give Martin Odegaard huge credit for, and I mean huge credit, right? Massive, massive credit. This guy never hides from getting the ball. Sometimes he's not effective enough in games, and I'm critical of him, saying he's got to do way more than that. But he always wants the ball. And something I say about him, if you take Odegaard out of this team, we do not have enough creativity. He is vital to this team. Absolutely vital. I never say get Odegaard out of the team. I say we've got to get him back in form. One thing I'll also say about Martin Odegaard, and I hope this doesn't come across as disrespectful. I always say a creative player is only as good as the people he's creating for. Right? Mesut Ozil that year, he should have broke the Premier League record. He was giving the ball to Giroud, and Giroud couldn't hit a barn door that year. Leicester won the title. If Odegaard's got a 25-goal striker playing up front, does that take Odegaard up to the next level? Jesus, good player, of course, but doesn't doesn't score loads of goals. He got a striker that's a gunman up there. Imagine how many assists Odegaard would get if Haaland was his striker or somebody of that level, Harry Kane. So Odegaard, 8.5 out of 10. He was outstanding apart from the goal. That's what was missing. We hope that comes back into his game. And I really enjoyed his performance. I did. I thought he was cooking. The front three yesterday. This is tricky. The two wingers especially. Because they were dangerous. They were lively. But was there enough end product? We'll start with Saka. Saka for me yesterday was not at his best. I might be doing him a disservice here. I'd like to know your thoughts in the comments. I'm looking at it going, you're playing against a 37-year-old centre midfielder at left back in James Milner. And I'm looking at James Milner thinking, did James Milner really get cooked by Saka yesterday? Not really. Not really. He put in the corner that was headed in by Jesus. It was flicked on at the near post. He was okay. He got in decent positions. He was lively. But I felt like the end product wasn't really there from Saka. I think, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think Saka has to add something else to his game. Maybe a bit more unpredictability, maybe some more skill. You know, even at this point in your career, you can still improve. You can still add things to your game. How often do you see Saka go and drop a couple step-overs on someone or nutmeg somebody or, you know, he needs to be a little bit more unpredictable. One thing I will say, and somebody just said something in the comments, this is a different game if the referee does his job. And I don't like talking about refs. I'm really one that doesn't like to moan about refs. Saka goes past Milner 3 or 4 times yesterday and he doesn't book him. If Milner gets an early yellow card, he's finished. He's done. Saka's going to absolutely roast him. But the referee, 1 foul, yeah, you can do that. 2 fouls, no problem, go again. 3 fouls, just get on with it, mate. I'll have a chat with you. That's the most you're gonna get. And he doesn't do his job. And then Milner gets away with it, and Milner ends up getting dragged off. So the ref didn't help him. I think he could have scored yesterday. So with the rating, do you know what? I'll be honest. I wrote down 6.5/7. I was sort of thinking, let me lean on the community. Do we go up to the 7 or do we go down to the 6.5? Did he do enough? I would have probably given him the 6.5. I don't think he did great. I'm going to give him the 6.5. I am. I'm giving him the 6.5. I know it sounds harsh. I expected a bit more from Saka against James Milner. I'm going to be honest. 6.5 I'm giving him. Let's go to the other winger, Martinelli. Again, Martinelli is another player that's giving me a headache for multiple reasons. I watched a stat where it was online where Martinelli was like the most take-ons, most successful duels. Like, if you'd have read them stats and you didn't watch the game, you might have said Martinelli was man of the match. However, I watched the game, you watched the game. What he was a live wire. Constant threat, right? The end product is not good enough again for me from Martinelli. Martinelli was so involved in that game yesterday, and he went on so many runs. I'm like, how have you come off that pitch with no goal and no assist? I don't understand it. Against Hinshelwood, 18 years of age, you got the ball time after time after time. You're running, you're cutting inside, you're having so many touches, your head's down. Great nutmeg on Lewis Dunk. You know me, I'm a sucker for some skill. I really am. But I just think that it got to be more end product. So I'm going to give him 6.5. I'm going to give him and Saka the similar because I felt he was a constant threat, but the end product wasn't there. The reason I'm not going to bring him down, he put some great corners in yesterday. He really did. He put some brilliant corners in. He has to produce more end product for me. Veltman came off injured. Hinshelwood came on. He got at him so many times. But just the end product wasn't quite. He put a few good crosses in. I thought he improved second half. But for the amount of quality he's got and how quick he is and direct, he should be scoring more goals. I think we have to understand Martinelli's got 2 Premier League goals. We've played 17 Premier League games. Now, he hasn't played every game because he had a slight injury when he got injured in that Everton game. But just to put it into context, he's played 15 Premier League games this season and got 2 goals. For a man of his quality, that's underwhelming. And that, for me, is the end product. It's not the lack of service and the lack of ball. You know, he gets the ball a lot. But more end product are what we need from him. The top wingers nowadays, they get numbers. Wingers are strikers nowadays. That's the difference. Back in the day, your Beckhams, your Pires, these guys, Giggs, Lundberg, these guys were getting 4-5 goals a season. 4-4-2. Now you're a striker effectively out wide. You got to get 15 goals to be considered a top winger. And he got that last season. Let's go to the striker, Gabriel Jesus. Gabby, for me, was okay. Yesterday, I was a bit like, you know, he had a few moments where he was shooting the shots wide and stuff like that. But ultimately, striker's number one job is to score goals. And effectively, if you win 2-0, in my opinion, the guy who scores the first goal scored the winning goal. That was the goal that won us the game. The second one secured it. You score the winner in an important game, you've had a good game. I always said as a striker, I'd rather play average and score than have a good game and not score. You are judged off goals. Some nice silky moves on the ball, you know, bit of Jogger Benito's second half. It'll be judged on his goals, so I've got to give him... I wrote down 7.5, but he got the winner. I'll give him an 8. I'll give him an 8. Because he's had them games where he's played well and not scored, and I've criticised him. So, you know, he got the goal. He got the goal at the end of the day that won us the game. Could he have scored more? Maybe. Shooting in the first half, not totally... but he got a goal. Listen, he got a goal. He scored the winning goal. That's all that matters at the end of it. I don't think it was necessarily an 8 out of 10 performance, but it's an important goal. We saw some silky skills at the end, and I'm here for it. Arsenal in for Aubameyang, paper talk. Jesus, can you imagine if we signed him back? O'Malley said, and big up Rock with the super chat, and O'Malley said, I need that vintage shirt with Killer Kai in that pink and flip phone. I'm telling you. I might need that. Somebody might need to Photoshop that for me if you can. I want the killer cam, you know, in the pink mink, and I need Kai Havertz face Photoshopped on instead of killer cam Kai Havertz. But anyway, let's go to the bench. What did we have off the bench? I thought Trossard came on and looked lively. And also, who got the assist? Eddie got the assist. Let's go to the subs. Who actually came on? Smith Rowe, Eddie, Kivior. We made 5. To be honest, Nelson, Kivior, Smith Rowe, I can hardly remember them in the game. Smith Rowe had that decent chance. Eddie got the assist. Big him up. I'll give him 6.5. First time I've seen him really get an assist. Trossard, some good footwork in the build-up to the goal. It's funny, innit? Trossard comes off the bench, plays really well. Then you start him, plays really bad, ends up back on the bench. It's like a circle, you know. How do you break that? But it seems like he can't quite get into the team and hold his place down in the team. Should Smith Rowe have scored? Maybe he should have. I would have loved to have seen him scored that. I am still of the belief that we can get something out of Emile Smith Rowe at this club, even if that's purely as a squad player that chips in with goals. But you've got to get him fit and firing. Because you look at that bench, how many players really are going to come off that bench and influence the game, especially in a big game? Kivy or Nelson, I don't even remember them touching the ball. I mean, Lawrence says ESR needs to be sold. I think at the end of the season, if he isn't performing by the end of the season, I think the club will consider it. Let's go to Mikel Arteta, people. Mikel Arteta, for me... Kivior needs to be moved on, says someone going up. I have to admit, I know he hasn't played a lot at centre-back at the moment, so it's really hard to judge him as a centre-back. But Kivior, for me, is not quite ready to play for Arsenal. I think Kivior needs to be loaned out. I don't think they will sell him because they'll still look at him and say he's 22, he's left-footed, he was highly rated, he hasn't played enough to be written off. But he doesn't look ready to play for Arsenal in the Premier League at centre-back. They don't trust him. You know, they played Holding last year. when Saliba got injured, and they're playing him at left back more than centre back. So to me, loan him out to a decent team and sign another centre back. If Gabriel or Saliba got injured, are we comfortable with Kivior in a title race? I don't think we are. So I think they need to loan him out and sign another centre back. Mikel Arteta yesterday, I'm going to give him 9 out of 10. I'm going to give him 9 out of 10. He got booked, but we don't care about that. He picked the right team. He made good substitutions. Trossard influenced the game, and Nketiah influenced the game, which is what you want your subs to do. Didn't have a lot to choose from on the bench. Kept Havertz on for a long period, and he got the goal. I can't knock him. I can't knock him. Obviously, he took Havertz off at the end, but I thought he got it bang on. De Zerbi and the way they play football, De Zerbi said that was one of the hardest games he's had this season, and they suffered. So Mikel Arteta gets a 9 out of 10 for me. Signal the plane. He was signaling the plane all game, people. I see enough dance before, but I never seen a dance like this. I see enough dance. Arteta, he was doing that all game. Yellow card. Don't worry, man. We'll keep it moving. We don't mind. 9 out of 10 for the boss, man. We're trying to mend relationships. I told you I had some real issues with Arteta. You know, them 8th place, they weren't easy to accept. But one thing I'll say, Arteta's doing a good job. I just want the trophies. I want the trophies. That's for me where, you know, he will be mainly judged on is, can he get those trophies? And that's what we need. Get him a run, Chan. Get him a run. We need trophies, Mikel. That's the difference between a good manager and a great manager, is the trophies. You know, we need the trophies from Mikel. Let's hope he can win them this season. Anyway, let's move on from that. Obviously, it was a good weekend in the Premier League for Arsenal Football Club, with Liverpool dropping points, and also with Manchester City dropping points. We finish the weekend and start the week top of the Premier League. It's close. It couldn't be closer, in fact. We play Liverpool this weekend. Absolutely massive, massive game of football, people, because Man City go to the World Club Championships, or the World Club Cup, whatever they call it. So they're not going to play for the next game or so in the Premier League. So just to put into context, we're 5 points clear. If we were to beat Liverpool, we'd be 8 points clear. The famous 8-point lead that we had last season. Interestingly enough, Aston Villa play Sheffield United on Friday night, which I think most of us would say is an absolute banker of a win for Villa. So by the time we play Liverpool, Villa will actually be top of the Premier League, which psychologically, man, 18 games in, Unai Emery top of the Prem. What a job he is doing, by the way. This Liverpool game is huge. Honestly, I think it's the biggest game we've had at Anfield for a long, long time, because I just think psychologically, to knock them back after they drew with Man United, you know, I was speaking to Liverpool fans yesterday, they were saying 6-0, 5-0. Score in the first 10 minutes, it will be 5-6-0. We annihilate United. United parked the bus. They had no real intention of attacking. They had a couple of good chances. We've got to overcome that barrier. We are so many times we've been to Anfield. Last season, I don't know how we didn't win that game. 2-0 up and we bottled it. And I think that was where the wheels started to fall off in that title race. We have to overcome this Anfield jinx. Prime Welbeck or Prime Nketiah? Danny Welbeck, mate. We've got to go there and beat them. I thought Liverpool yesterday were good, but not that good. They look like they can be got at and hit on the break. It's going to be an unbelievable game. I think it's the biggest game of the season in the Premier League so far. We got to try and win. Guntz, who's a big Liverpool fan, said, if you lot win at Anfield, I'm having a Curtis shirt ripping meltdown. Listen, we've got to go there and beat this Liverpool team. Honestly, we've got to go for them. I think Gravenberch got injured yesterday. But it's Anfield. It's difficult, but we'll see. We will see. Liverpool play midweek. Arsenal don't play this week until we go to Anfield. Liverpool play West Ham, I think, on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. It'll be interesting how that affects the dynamic. We'll have a week to rest. They're going to have a quarter-final tie midweek. Aston Villa concern me. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think arrogance makes us think a team like Villa can't stay in this title race, but they've beat Man City. they've beat Arsenal in the same week. They're a problem. They're a major problem. Honestly, Villa are serious. Villa have scored more than Arsenal and Liverpool this season. They're not a joke. They are in the title race. Maybe squad depth will catch up with them, but Villa are serious. Even yesterday during the watch-along, 1-0 down at Brentford, I'm like, yep, they're dropping points. Next minute, they win 2-1. Unai has got them cooking, man. Seriously cooking. Villa are a problem. Big up Graham, he said, big up Curtis, love for the love. Big up, bro. Why always me, said Saka put 3 balls on a plate across the box. Jesus was missing like always. He don't attack the ball. At one, he was just looking at the ball. Watch again. Maybe I've done him dirty, Saka. Maybe Jesus should have got closer. Alfred said, can't get an assist when the striker is playing midfield. I hear you. Can't get goals when bending it far post isn't your game. All his goals from striker position. Big up yourself, Alfred. And Dashcast said, Big C, big up the community and yourself. Did you see the tackle Edison made on Mateta? How was that not already? Wiped him out, didn't he? I think the ref said the defender was on the cover and he got the yellow. But yeah, it was great to see them drop points, that's for sure. Anyway, let's just finally round up on yesterday's game with some waffle settings from the manager. I don't want to leave the community hungry, people. Every word from Arteta's post-Brighton presser. Arteta was booked again. 3 yellow cards gets you a 1-match ban. He's already had that ban, and he's got another yellow card now. On the win, he said, outstanding, incredible, big compliment to the team and the players. I think we had an incredible performance against the top team. We fully deserve to win the game. I have to praise them because I know how difficult it is and what Brighton do to teams. We didn't allow that to happen, so I'm super happy. On Odegaard's display and how important he is, he said he wanted to celebrate his birthday today in a great way. He's done it here. With a win and a huge performance, the way they play, the way they press you, they go man to man, you have to be good. So accurate and precise, intelligent to do what we have done today. Terry Real Gunner said, finish second and first in his poker tournaments. Big up yourself, bro. On the patience the team showed in spite of having illness in the camp. He said, absolutely, we have to be patient at times. We had to be really determined. Regarding illness with Jorginho? Well, it's one player was unwell. I don't know if you can say illness in the camp. We have another issue. Yeah, well, he's got a cold or flu. He wasn't a huge loss, no disrespect. I'm not taking the first half big chances, he said. Yes, but if we generate more, the probability of us scoring is higher. That's the only thing we can focus on. We have great players who can define games and who can finish. Today we needed too many, especially in big spaces. We needed too many situations to kill the game. And that was the fear, especially after half-time, that it was going to be one of them days. I was just looking back through a lot of Arsenal games throughout this season. And you look at it, right? Luton, we won by 1, 4-3. We beat Wolves 2-1. We beat Brentford 1-0. We lost to Newcastle, lost to Villa. We beat Sevilla 2-1. We drew with Chelsea, beat City 1-0, lost 2-1 to Lens. Beat Brentford 1-0, drew with Tottenham, Everton 1-0, 3-1 against Man United, 1-0 against Palace, 2-1 against Forest. What I'm saying, if you look at a lot of those fixtures, we're winning by 1 goal, which makes us nervous because a lot of those games we're dominating. We might go 1-0 up, but then we're searching for the second and we don't find it until late in the game. Sometimes we actually don't find it in the whole game. And that is something that needs to turn around. You know, when you're dominating, you got to finish the team off. Get the second, get the third, and win the game. I know 1-0 to the Arsenal, George Graham, and we won titles doing that. I think we're playing on the edge sometimes, and we need to stop that. On Havertz' improved goal scoring, he said his confidence is growing. He feels more secure on the field. The fact he scored one to help score the second one, it's 4 in 7 games now, and he should have scored a header today as well. Overall, his performances and the intelligence and the aggression, how hard he works defensively, it's top, really good. And if the handbrake is coming off, he said, I don't know about the handbrake. Listen, he's not a mechanic. What do you want him to do? He said, when you talk about Kai or Declan, they have played more games with us now. They understand things quicker. It's easier to adapt. On this win, showing us how the team has developed since losing to Brighton last season, he said, I think we had a really good first half last season. We should have scored 1 or 2 more goals but we didn't win. That was my concern at half-time. Last season, when we conceded in the first goal, the team went down because we didn't have that belief. Today, we showed a real determination to beat them from the beginning, which is good. Good performance. On the team's proficiency from set pieces, he said, having tall players is a factor. The height is really important on set plays. The takers are getting better and better. Their understanding of where to attack. I thought our corners were good yesterday. On Gabriel's consistency and if he is underrated, he said, hopefully not underrated. Certainly not in this team or from me. I know his value, what he brings to the team, and his love for defending and keeping clean sheets. When he transmits to the back line, he is absolutely incredible, and today we did it against a team that had scored in 32 consecutive Premier League matches. He's pulling out stats. On the perceived uncertainty around Gabriel's future in the summer, he said, from my side, there was zero uncertainty because I want him here. Just think, people, 3 or 4 days behind deadline day, he was being linked with a move to Saudi, and there was talk of Gabriel leaving this football club. Look at him now, starting for Brazil, outstanding for us, and what a player. MJ, you're a disgrace for this super chat. He says, Big C, have you man ever been to the Club World Cup? You're an absolute disgrace and a cheat, and I hope you get relegated. He's going in timeout. I'm putting him in 3 minutes timeout. Thank you for the super chat. You're going in timeout. You're a disgrace and a cheat. 3 minutes on the naughty step. Gabriel's been outstanding, and I always say it's very easy for Gabriel to be ignored in the shadows of Saliba. Why? Because Saliba makes it look easy. Saliba's cultured on the ball. He's the modern day Rio Ferdinand, the modern day Virgil van Dijk, and we love the way he plays. And Gabriel's the more nitty gritty player who's more of an old school centre back, if you like. Don't forget what Gabriel does to this team. He is as important as Saliba. I'm convinced. He's different. He might not get the ratings. He might not be the one that ends up in Ballon d'Or conversations or one of the best centre-backs in the world, because the modern centre-back, they want you to defend and have that quality on the ball as well. And maybe Saliba has that a bit more than Gabriel. But Gabriel is vital to this team and to Saliba, because he's the one on the front line saying, I'll go and deal with that centre-forward. And then you go and just deal with what's left over. They're both outstanding. They are both outstanding. Anyway, let's move on. That's yesterday's game tied up. Obviously, we're going to do previews and stuff towards the weekend in terms of the game against Liverpool, which is a real big one. I think this week off will help Arsenal. We haven't had a break midweek for a while. I think this will do us good. Just to let the boys rest a little bit, and then obviously Liverpool have a quarter-final against West Ham. Few injuries, maybe they'll have a bit of fatigue. Let's talk strikers. Big up to you, Trixie. Big up everyone locked in. 2.5K locked in. 37 on Twitch. Big up the whole C unit. Is it the best centre-back pairing in the Prem? I think there's definitely an argument. I think Diaz and Stones, but they rotate a lot. They've been playing Akanji and, Vardiol and other people. So we've had the most consistent, and we got the joint best defence in the league. Let's talk attackers. We're being linked with 2 strikers. We spoke about one of them in quite a lot of detail yesterday, but just in case you weren't in the watch along, I want to go over it. And it was a story that I didn't like. And it is Bournemouth striker Dominic Solanke. Words I never thought I would be discussing on an Arsenal stream, people. Daily Star yesterday was saying Dominic Solanke is being looked at as a potential alternative as a move for a striker in January. Now, I said this yesterday, but just in case you weren't in the stream yesterday, he's improved as a player, right? No problem. He's improved. He's got 9 goals already in the Premier League. He's having a good season, 26 years of age. I don't want this guy anywhere near Arsenal Football Club. The only way this guy should be at Arsenal is if he's a fan and he's going on the tour, or if he's turning up for a game with Bournemouth. Apart from that, he should not be touching the Emirates Stadium for anything, let alone signing for us and playing for us. Bournemouth want £50 million for him. To be honest, I don't care if they want £5 million for him. I don't want us to sign him. Is he better than Nketiah? Probably is, by the way. 9 goals in the Premier League this season at Bournemouth. He's having a good season for Bournemouth. But 50 million, Solanke, come on, do me a favour. We did not move to the Emirates to try and win major trophies to sign Dominic Solanke. I'm sorry, I'm not being disrespectful, because I actually don't think he's a bad football player. He should be signing for maybe a mid-table or just above club in the Premier League. Fulham, Chelsea's probably better than Nicholas Jackson. Brighton could do with maybe another striker, another option. Brentford as a Toney replacement. Good move for him there. Arsenal, come on, do me a favour. It could just be paper talk, so I don't want to go over it too much. But no. We don't want Solanke, and I know now. Let me stop singing. It's Monday. I ain't warmed up yet. I'm not on my best yet. By Friday, I'll be hitting the high notes. It's Monday. It's been a long weekend. We're not fully there yet. I don't want Solanke. They said no Lanky yesterday. So we don't want this brother at Arsenal. Please, don't write stories. I'm hoping it's just Arsenal putting pressure on maybe a Brentford or someone else to say, listen, we do want Toney or we do want Osimhen, but we got other options. So Solanke to the carpet. No, thank you. We need a plan A, not a plan B. Get rid of Eddie, sign a striker, have your new striker and Jesus as your two options. And worst case scenario, you got Trossard and Havertz can go up there. We don't need to spend big money on a striker and still have Jesus playing as the first choice with a 50 million guy as the backup, or he's not a significant improvement. So we don't want that. No Lanky, no thanky, as Marsh says. No likey, no lighty. We don't want him. We don't want Solanke. Decent player, but not for Arsenal, I'm afraid. We need to be shooting for the stars, people, not for Solankes from Bournemouth. Anyway, now, E-Ross said, Curtis, I like Eddie now. I mean, they are words I don't think you'll ever get on this channel. I know I did say today I'm starting to like Havertz, the player. He's impressing me. But the Eddie Nketiah one, he's got a long way to go. But, maybe he'll get there eventually when we sell him. Anyway, let's move on. The striker, or one of the strikers we should definitely be looking for. And Fabrizio Romano saying today that Arsenal could be looking for a David Raya-style move to get Ivan Toney, which is interesting. Now, as some of you pointed out at the start of the show, we can't have two players on loan from the same club. It's a rule you're not allowed to do in the Premier League. What the story going around is Arsenal would make the David Raya deal permanent in January, £27 million. Get that deal done. Then take Ivan Toney on loan with a large loan fee, with a higher transfer fee in the summer. I've said it before and I've said it again. I see absolutely no reason on earth that Brentford would allow Ivan Toney to go on loan. I don't see why they would do that. It makes no sense because Mbeumo's injured. They don't have a lot of goals in the front line. Surely they would say, if you want Toney, pay for him. And then they've got the money and they can replace him. Unless we're giving them a player. Because we all know it makes perfect sense. Go to Brentford. Give them Eddie Nketiah. There's your striker. And we'll give you a large chunk of money on top of that in the summer. No brainer. The problem is, Arteta loves Eddie Nketiah. And Eddie Nketiah's, I think he rates himself that highly, would probably reject a move to Brentford. But the rumour is Arsenal want to pay $5 million up front for the loan, pay his full wage, and then pay another £60 million in the summer. So it would be a £65 million deal. Wissot is also going to AFCON. I just don't see what Brentford gain from that. Listen, I'm sitting here right now going, if that deal happens, it is an absolute masterclass from Edu. If you get Ivan Toney on loan with an obligation to buy him, maybe Ivan Toney has gone to Brentford and said, listen, I helped you get promotion into the Premier League. I've helped keep you up in the Premier League. Now you've got an opportunity to, number one, allow me to go to the top level. That also allows him to go to the Euros, because if he goes to Arsenal, he definitely goes to the Euros with England. And also, they gain a lot of money on him in the summer. Maybe that's the route that Ivan Toney is looking at, that sort of, you owe me this move. I've done what was needed at this football club. Allow me to go to the big football club now. It only takes one bad injury and Ivan Toney doesn't get that move in the summer. Maybe they're looking at it like that. They did us a favour in the summer with Raya. We couldn't buy him for 30 million. We paid 3 million, 27 million obligation to take him on loan. So they've done us a favour before. But we'll see. Ivan Toney is, their crown jewel. Would they allow him to do that kind of deal? I think that's the angle that Ivan Toney would be looking at with them. Listen, I broke the record in the Championship, got you guys promoted, allowed you to get that money to build a new stadium. I've kept you in the Prem. You can now get 65 million for me. Let me get my dream move. But we'll see. I think Ivan Toney, to get that move, would have to put a lot of pressure on them. And are they going to be nice enough? I suppose the reason it would be not impossible is they're not in a relegation battle. They're 10 points clear of the relegation battle. So what we need really is Brentford to... They've lost their last 3 games, so that's not good. That's going to make them think, we need Ivan Toney. But what we want is Brentford to just be mid-table. They're not really going to get Europe. They're not in a relegation battle where they can think, you know what, maybe we can afford to let Toney go and it ain't going to affect them. But if they get that deal done, it's an absolute masterclass from Edu. I still don't fully believe it will happen, but I would love to see it happen. I really would. Carl, thank you for the super chat. Would any team take Vieira offers on loan? I think teams would take Fabio Vieira on loan. I just don't think they'd buy him as a permanent deal. I think a lot of teams in the Prem, especially some of the mid-table to lower teams, would take him, and maybe clubs in Europe who's being linked with Marseille. So, listen, if you can get Ivan Toney on loan, would be incredible. ESR and Ketia, Fabio plus cash. You could even throw Ramsdale in there. You could give them a list and say, listen, you can have one of those players so that somebody can come in and make an instant impact for you, and we'll pay you some cash in the summer so you're not left short change. There's players at Arsenal that I would allow to go in a swap deal. Fabio Vieira's, like you said, and Nketiah's, players like that don't really have a long-term future starting in the team. I think you could go. But listen, we'll see what happens with that one. People, thank you very much for tuning in today. Double stream today. Obviously, we did the Champions League watch-along earlier. Great draw for Arsenal getting Porto. But also, as I said earlier, approach with caution. If we don't play properly, we could still get beat. But if we play properly, get a good result over there in Portugal, bring them back to the Emirates, it should be a good draw. Thank you very much for tuning in. Top of the Premier League. Things going well for us. I'll be back tomorrow around 2 p.m. We'll go through the latest Arsenal news. We have a bit of a quiet week. Once we get to Thursday and Friday, we'll start building up to the massive Arsenal-Liverpool game on Saturday. Enjoy your Monday, people. Take care. And I will see you all tomorrow, people. Bless.